lot longer to get to the gas than what you are. I'm trying. I don't know what to do. Tell you what I see, or just want me to let you run like shit? I'm trying to help. I run like shit because I can't get in the corner right now. I'm trying.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Glass Cases of Motion episode. It's good to be back, virtually still. Probably going to be like that for the rest of the year. But we have a very special guest today, and I'm really excited to have Dan Ahdoot on it. Yeah, Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to read his intro since he sent us this intro. He is a stand-up comic actor.
Oh, wait. Don't say that I sent you the intro. Then it sounds so awful. Like,
that's what we do.
Hey,
We're
terrible. How great I am.
We researched.
Now, see, I've got other
researched
stuff.
It.
You've got
He's
stuff.
super humble. He didn't want us to say anything, but I guess we'll say this anyway.
Well, I've got things that I researched that I didn't see that you put in here that I was like, well, I want to talk about this. So I'm just going to give our fans a quick update on who we've got on here. It's you're in the new NASCAR sitcom that's coming out that's going to be on Netflix, The Crew. You've also got a podcast, so you're an old pro at doing podcast work. It's Country Green? Number one. I'm reading. See, I read and I screwed it up. It's the number one food podcast in the country, Green Eggs and Dan. Please welcome Dan Ahdoot.
Thank you guys for the most awkward introduction I think I've ever gotten.
That's what we do on the show, man. That's what we do. We got all our information off Wikipedia too, so we know it's 100% true and accurate. Yeah, and we're going to use it all. So, fantastic. But no, Dan, you and I met when we were filming, for The Crew, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were. It's funny because I've acted on a bunch of shows where there's athletes on it, and the athletes are usually awful. They're very good at being athletes, but awful at acting. And we were all blown away by your comic timing. So it's good to hang again. It was really, really great.
Well, that's because NASCAR scripted. It's like wrestling.
Yeah,
that's right. It is exactly scripted. So we're good actors as well. But no, that was a lot of fun. I had a blast going up to New York and meeting all you guys, and I went up there twice. We were able to do it twice. It's a shame that's got delayed, but I'm looking forward to the finished product. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna come out great. I think the fans are really gonna love the show too. Yeah.
And Kevin James is in it, and that was my first time meeting him, and he was a really nice guy.
He's a fantastic guy. He's a great guy. He's hilarious, which is. Again, the problem when you surround yourself with too many funny people is that you have to up your game. I'm very funny in my family, but in this show, I'm not funny at all. I'm just outshined by so many more funny people, including the athletes, apparently.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Ryan's got experience. That wasn't his first foray into acting. I feel like you have quite the resume now, Ryan.
Yeah, I've done some shows. Yeah.
Well, and movies. Your turn as the security guard in Logan Lucky was just, some of the best work.
No, I was a cake delivery guy.
Cake delivery guy. Oh, yeah, that's
Logan Lucky. Yeah. I delivered a cake. I had a couple lines. That was like in 2016. That was a while back, but yeah, I've had fun. Did the Taken TV show with Clive Standen. He's a nice guy, and it's been a lot of fun messing around with that stuff. I enjoy it. So
awesome. Well, it's funny because I got this show and I was never, I never really followed NASCAR. And then after you did our show, you and Cole Custer were on our show. And I was like, all right, I cannot wait to watch NASCAR now because I have someone to root for, right? So the first race that I watched was the Daytona 500. And I'm watching with my girlfriend. And it's the first NASCAR race I've ever watched, okay? Which for you guys who've watched that race, imagine that's the first time you watch a NASCAR race. I was like, by the end of it, I was like crying into a pillow. I was like, what just happened? There was like gasoline like falling into cars, like people were about to explode. I was like, what the is this?
Yeah, that was a wild one. That was wild. That's our biggest race of the year. That's our biggest race, and then it was a really, interesting ending. Fortunately, everyone was okay after that race. But yeah, that's a good first one to watch. But hopefully, things open up and we can get you out to one. That'd be it's a whole different experience if you can come to one.
I can't
and
wait,
see
man.
it firsthand. So we'll have to get you out.
I can't wait.
I have a question, Dan. You guys have started filming some for the show, and now you're getting ready to film again. How has production gone, like, through quarantine and through all of this stuff? I mean, how has that been going?
Yeah, so we had an order for 10 episodes from Netflix. We recorded 7 of them. We shot 7 of them, and then they told us we're shutting down. And we all left. And we just got word basically a couple weeks ago. They were like, all right, you're back on. So they flew us all. We're all staying at this hotel in a parking lot of a mall in Long Island. For you guys watching, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is my beautiful view over here.
Oh, ground floor. Nice.
Yeah, man. And we're literally confined to this room. We're not allowed to leave the door. We can't go out for a walk for 2 weeks. We get tested every 3 days, and then we're gonna get to work on Monday. That's supposed to be our first day. But I think we're one of the first productions in New York to go back. So we're very, very excited about that.
So bubble acting in a bubble. That's
yeah, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, if the NBA can do it, then I imagine you guys can do it.
Yeah, we got this, man.
Yeah. So you guys still filming in the same building where we were before? Okay.
Same exact place. Yeah.
That was a cool place. Like, it was, you go through where our set was, and then if you go to lunch, they were building this massive compound in that middle room of this new, I don't know, show or movie they were filming. But it was cool to see all that work going in. You don't really ever get to see that.
Yeah, and you don't get to see it in the middle of Long Island. Like, you see that stuff in, LA or New York City even's got some stuff. But, this is, in the middle, smack dab in the middle of Long Island. It's this huge studio called Gold Coast Studios. And, yeah, there was an HBO show, I think, that you're talking about that they were setting up for. So it's kind of cool because it ended up working in our favor because no studios are opening up in LA right now. I think just one in Atlanta. But we're, away from everything. We're in the middle of Long Island, so we can kind of open up safely, in our little bubble.
Obviously, working at NASCAR, we've kind of gotten the, hey guys, we're doing this cool Netflix show, and Kevin James is going to do this. But he's a pit coach, or he's a pit crew. See, I'm screwing up stuff. I know this stuff. He's a crew chief who takes over, or not taking over a team, but somebody else takes over the team for the fans. What's the show about? What can they look forward to? And I'm doing my best, interviewer voice on this.
Yeah. So I mean. Basically, yeah, it's he's the crew chief, and the owner of the team is this old school dude who decides to retire, and his daughter, who is from Silicon Valley, comes and takes over and tries to make changes, to an old school crew that's very set in its ways. And one of the first things she does is she gets a new sponsor, and instead of getting the Big Hoofer barbecue sponsor, they switch to Fake Steak, which is a vegan steak. which is basically the last sponsor you'd ever see on a NASCAR on one of the cars. And I think actually in one of the races you guys just had, there was an actual team that raced our car so that we could get shots of it.
Yeah,
the Fake Steak car.
I can't remember what race that was. If it was
it was Michigan because I was there.
Michigan.
77 was the 74 for that race.
Yeah, it was awesome. I knew they were going to do it at Richmond because you guys were going to come film Richmond.
Right.
None of us, everything happened, but I was happy they were actually able to get a Fake Steak car on their track. I thought that was hilarious. I didn't know they were doing it until I walked out to the grid. I was like, oh, I know that car. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was very, very funny. It's surreal. I'm curious what fans who didn't know that it was being shot for a TV show thought of Fake Steak.
They probably looked it up.
Yeah. I can't find a website for this. This must be a front for something.
Yeah.
Hey,
money laundering.
I knew that it was happening, and it still psyched me out for a minute when I was watching the race. I was like, who's in the 74? It's like, what? Why is there? Oh, right. Yeah. It's for the show. Yeah.
New entry. I always tell people I love going to do the, TV shows or movie stuff because, as someone who's obviously, like everybody, watched a lot of TV and stuff, you don't realize how much work goes into it, behind the scenes. And, I like seeing that stuff. And it's I tell people it's similar to NASCAR because, you kind of just see the end product on the track or on TV, and you don't realize how much work goes on behind the scenes and how many people are involved. That's what I love, going to do those shows, is you see how many people are involved and how much it takes just to do one scene. That's always cool to me to see.
Yeah, which is giving us all anxiety because, talk about, it's very hard to maintain, as you've seen on set, it's very hard to maintain 6 feet of distance from anyone. There's like 200 people out there at a time.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, look, the thing I love about our show is that NASCAR's involved. So apparently, like everything is accurate in terms of we write or the scripts are written by the writers, and then they send it to NASCAR and they go over it and make it. So, it's always worrisome. You don't want to sound like an idiot and not know, use the correct terminology and stuff like that. And I'm the chief engineer, so like I have to know all these, nerdy engineering terms, which is you don't want to get that wrong. I'm always curious about that. Like when I watched that movie Ford versus Ferrari, and I loved it, but I was like, I wonder what people on the inside would think. Like, was it completely inaccurate and bullshit, or was it accurate?
The thing, did you watch it?
That's something I always look at. I actually haven't seen Ford vs. Ferrari yet. What? I heard it was really great. I know I haven't seen it.
It's a great film.
I'm slacking.
It's great, but the thing that threw me off is when they're doing the Rolex 24 at Daytona, it's Auto Club. It's Auto Club Speedway, like blue walls and all that stuff. And I get that like Daytona looks nothing like it did back in the 50s and 60s, but it didn't have blue walls. And that threw me off. And that's just like a little like nitpicky thing, but like for the most part, that type of stuff with a movie like Ford versus Ferrari, like I noticed that for like 1 second, and then the acting pulls you in and you forget about that.
The acting was really good.
And the only people that figure that out are like people that are involved in it, right?
Yeah.
Like that, like I like watching those movies, racing movies, because you're like, oh, that was pretty good, or like that's way off, or I know where they're at. They're not at this location. That's just stuff you pick out if you're involved in it. But
like Glory. Yeah. The uniforms are terrible in Glory, and the rifles like flop around. But Morgan Freeman and Matthew Broderick, like it's amazing acting. So like you forget about the fact that it's just the costumes are terrible.
I love those little details though. I love when they get those things right.
Yeah.
Especially for like super fans like yourself. Like imagine they had the blue wall, you'd be like, oh, all right, awesome. They actually they did their research. So I love that we have that. But besides that, I feel like as an actor, you get on a lot of shows that are not that funny, and you have to like go out and be like, it's really, really funny. I don't feel that about this show. This show is actually funny, and I think it makes my job a lot easier because I really do think it's going to be a hit, and I think people are gonna love it, whether they're NASCAR fans or not. I just think it's going to be a hilarious show.
Yeah, I think I got that vibe. I felt like, well, I am an amateur, but I felt like I get caught just laughing at what people say on the show, like what you would say or Kevin would say. Like I would just ruin takes laughing. I'm like, God dang it! Like, I'm not as professional as these guys. I can't, because I grew up watching these guys on TV. I'm like laughing at their shows, and I'm like, God, I can't keep a straight face sometimes.
Yeah, but you had that huge mustache, which would cover everything up. So
I did. It was so when the first episode I filmed was in the winter, and I had one. And then we came back, and they shot them out of order. So the second time I came back, it was going to be the episode before the first one I shot. And I didn't have a mustache because it was in like January when I had photo shoots. So we had to have a fake one. And that was a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm intrigued now.
They matched your original mustache?
What's that?
They matched it?
It would look pretty accurate. They did a good job. I don't think you'd be able to tell.
I remember there were pictures of your face all over the hair and makeup that they had taken so that they could recreate the mustache for you.
Yeah.
We were surrounded by your mustache every day.
I was like, what kind of hair is this? Is this spent on someone's body? Is it animal hair? What is on my lip that is going in my mouth? Like, what is this? But it was a little strange.
I mean,
everyone knows that pubes make the perfect mustache hair, so that's probably what it was.
I appreciate you saying that. I was trying to not think of that, and then you put it in my head, and that's great.
Chuck, you can take that out if you want.
No, I'm going to leave that in because I was going to let him know.
Fair game.
Ryan, you could harvest your own hair in the off season, so you could have a mustache really whenever you want it. Just get hair and makeup people to put one on, like boom. That way, you know. Yeah.
True.
Is there a ban on facial hair for you guys while you're competing?
My team is a little bit more clean cut. So it's obviously been a little bit different now in quarantine, obviously. But like for preseason photo shoots that we do in late January, mid-January, they like me to be clean cut and all that stuff.
Nice.
So that's why in the wintertime I had that mustache, and then I had to do a photo shoot and be a little bit more clean. So, but there's not really a ban. They just kind of like me to be a little bit more cleaned up.
I grew a mustache during quarantine. I had a big like handlebar mustache. It's funny, a lot of people are growing mustaches during quarantine, which I think is very offensive to people who have mustaches like all year long, because we're like, the only way I'm gonna grow this is if I'm trapped in my home and there's a pandemic outside and I can't leave. That's the only way I will look like you look all the time.
Dan, I feel like you're attacking me right now because I have a mustache. I feel like you're attacking me right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was a microaggression? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I actually, like Ryan, will grow mustaches throughout the year and like have them at random times. And it's funny to me, like the people that can't grow a mustache, like the people that aren't blessed enough to be able to grow one, like don't want to do it and don't want to show it off, and then now's their time to shine, but they're not going to show anybody.
Right. Yeah.
You got that mask protecting you. Mm-hmm. No one can really see.
It's funny, a lot of people were making fun of me when I grew mine. They're like, "Oh, nice hipster mustache, dude." I'm like, "Hipster? I'm Iranian. Literally everyone in my family looks like this with a mustache. Like I'm counterculture by shaving this thing." We're just a bunch of hairy Iranians with mustaches. I was like the only one without one.
You know, hey, I think they look good. I enjoy it.
They're great. My dad always had a mustache.
Your dad's a pilot.
He was a pilot, though, and I feel like a large percentage of pilots have mustaches for some reason.
What does he pilot? What kind of planes?
He's retired now. He finished on an Airbus A330, so he was doing like the big international, like double decker.
Oh wow.
Yeah, pretty sporty.
Just getting drunk the whole time. That's awesome.
Pretty much. He used to call it dinner and a movie because he was so senior level in terms of being a captain that they would put him on flights with junior captains to like train the junior captains. And because it's like overseas, he would get dinner, check in on the junior captain, take a little rest, watch a movie. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Grandfather Dan. It's good.
Yeah. He was, 40 plus years he was a pilot? So, long ass time.
Wow.
I don't know if I'd trust a pilot that didn't have a mustache. I feel like that's got to be like a...
I mean, even, doesn't the emoji, didn't we talk about this? Like, the emoji of the pilot has a mustache.
That's so good.
Yeah, they're grouping them into that.
The prerequisite if you're going to fly a plane with a mustache.
Yeah, it's like part of the job.
I am shaving mine off, though. I can't decide if I'm going to do it Saturday morning or I'm doing a playoff beard. You weren't on last week. We had Dylan on.
Yeah.
So I'm shaving it off for the playoffs. So I'm going to grow a playoff beard. And that's sort of going to be I've done that every year.
Shaving off a mustache is always funny. I feel like everyone who shaves their mustache off first does the Hitler mustache so they can see what that looks like. Take some pictures, send it to your friends, and then shave the rest of it off.
Or the Chaplain. We could call it the Chaplain.
I did that.
I know. It's always I feel like Charlie Chaplin got
the wrong end of the deal.
That deal.
Yeah, he was. I know. It's like either the funniest person in the world or the worst person in history. There's no middle ground with that mustache.
Yeah. I did that exact same thing when I shaved mine off. I did that, sent it to some buddies, and then shaved it off.
I know.
Yeah,
I did
exact
it too.
Same thing.
I sent it to my mom. She did not appreciate it because we're also Jewish. She was like, "Not cool, dude. Not cool." I was like, "It's Charlie Chaplin."
Yeah. Goodness. So you're Green Eggs and Dan. How long
this
you been doing
podcast that you do?
Green Eggs and Dan. It is. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. It's my food podcast, and some way somehow it became the #1 food podcast in America. and I'm gonna have to have you on, Ryan. It's basically a food podcast where I interview people who are not necessarily like food personalities. It's more just like, actors, writers, entertainers, famous people, whatever. Because everyone's got their take on food, even if like they're not in the food world, And each episode starts with an actual picture of the inside of the guest's fridge. So we kind of go into your fridge and roast it, and then we get into a conversation about food.
Well, you'd be very disappointed with the contents of my fridge. It pretty much consists of waters, Body Armor, beer, some eggs, and like yogurt. Like that's
wow.
That's about all that's in my fridge.
Holy shit! We get it, Ryan. We get it. You're single. We get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, not the most healthy.
Wait,
fridge.
What's Body Armor?
Body Armor is a sports drink. They compete against like Powerade and Gatorade.
Oh, got it.
And they just surpassed Powerade actually in sales or
no way
things like that. Yes, and they've only been around since 2011, so they're growing like crazy. They're actually based up in New York, this company, and they're really good people, and they've been growing, like I said, like crazy here. And their goal is to beat Gatorade. So they've been on track really good for the past handful of years. So
pretty good. I did that hot sauce challenge with Dylan with Mamba, which you haven't done yet, Ryan, have you?
I have not. I'm not a good spicy food person.
That's all the more reason to do it.
Yeah.
He provided me with the Body Armor, and it did help quelch the heat on the tongue.
How bad was it?
What was the challenge?
So we have this friend who works in the industry too, and he was doing this. So it's like 10 hot sauces that you like order in varying degrees of heat, and it's rock, paper, scissors for each, and the loser of each of it's 12 rounds has to do a shot of the hot sauce on a chip. Oof. But it like starts out just jalapeno, and then it's like jalapeno and whatever habanero, and then it's like slowly works its way up. So it has like at the end it's got like ghost pepper powder, scorpion, like all this different stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I like spicy though. It was hot, but I felt like I took it like a champ. But.
Yeah, I'm pretty wussy when it comes to hot foods too.
Yeah, I can't do it. It's like that show. You ever seen that show, Hot Ones?
Yeah.
They do the wings. I think that's a brilliant show, man. That's a brilliant show. Of, like you get celebrities on their athletes and they drop their guard because their mouth is on fire, so they can ask them pretty intense questions. So they open up. I thought that was a genius show, and now it's on TV.
Yeah,
like it's a TV show now.
Picked up.
Yeah.
I found if you chew with your mouth open, it's not as bad. Sounds gross, but chew with your mouth open. There's less surface area that the hot sauce gets on before you swallow. So if anybody to put you up for a hot sauce or a hot spicy food challenge, just chew with your mouth open.
These are Kim's hot tips, yo. Kim's hot tips.
Yep.
We did a shoot in Nashville during the banquet last year at, I forgot what the name of the place was, but they had this hot chicken, Nashville hot chicken that.
Ooh, I love it.
It made like everything water on my face. Like it was just it was so delicious in the first like 5 seconds. Like you could taste the smoky of the pepper and like everything that they'd done to it. But then when that heat hit, it was just unbearable. But that first 10 seconds made you want another bite. Like that's how good it was. But they also had like milkshakes on hand, like boozy milkshakes to counteract the heat, which
fun.
Oh, that makes it even better. A little bit of rum, a little bit of milkshake. Makes you forget the fact that you're sweating and crying and your nose is running all at the same time.
I love Nashville hot chicken. I think it's like one of the most delicious things. It's basically just fried chicken with like chili powder on it.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
I've been experimenting in quarantine with adding more heat to foods that I've eaten, like Cajun seasoning to fish and like just kicking up that the heat.
Little heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never understood it. Like it just ruined. Like I can't taste anything if it's too hot. I'm like,
what do you mean too hot? It just has to have like you have to still have flavor. If it's too hot but there's no flavor, then it's not fun.
fine line. Like I'm a mild wings kind of guy.
You got to start a little bit and then move your way up. You don't want to start with habaneros or anything, because that's like the equivalent of me starting with the Daytona 500.
Right.
And seeing that as my first race.
But you got to jump right in, though. You got to jump right in. Yeah. Like it's going in the deep end. Yeah.
That's true.
And that's
I can see a balance there.
A Daytona race, like going to a Daytona race and actually being there, will probably make somebody more of a fan than like any Daytona or Talladega. Talladega, really, that's the one.
Yeah, I would put Talladega over Daytona in terms of like action.
And also action in the infield too, like the infield at Talladega.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Action combined, like on track, off track.
Yes.
You know what I think what might be up my speed is the Sonoma one, because then I can go like do some wine tasting, get some booze in me, then go watch a NASCAR. I mean, that sounds like a dream.
Yeah, Sonoma, that's a beautiful area, obviously, and yeah, you can go to all the wineries, and then go watch a NASCAR race. That's the best of both worlds right there.
They got good breweries up there too. There's good breweries up there too.
And it's like smack in the middle of all of that. The track is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't get burnt to a crisp, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, there's always Watkins Glen, because it's like the East Coast version of it, and it's.
The wine's not as good.
Yeah, I know it's not as good, but it's more.
Where is Watkins Glen?
It's in the Finger Lakes in New York.
Oh, in the Finger Lakes. Yeah. So actually, Kim, so this is a funny, a weird advantage of global warming is that the wine region in New York is actually putting out much better wines now, because so silver lining.
I mean, I will say it's been probably 8 years since I did a wine tour there, so that's 8 years is a long amount of time for there to be more warm. So
their Rieslings are apparently some of the best in the world, and they also are starting to make cider a lot more. And cider, actually before Prohibition, was the highest selling spirit in America. We were selling more cider than beer. And then after Prohibition, beer basically ended up taking over.
That's awesome to me how like that stuff changes over time. How like I don't know if it's the taste buds of Americans or what it is, how that like will evolve and shift over time. Is it the economy of it?
I also think though that Americans in general, I think that our food and drink palate has gotten so much better in like the last 20 years. I feel like we appreciate better food and like better booze, and like, I think look at beers. Look at beers in America.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I feel like food in America and drink in America is the best in the world right now. And I think it's because American ingenuity is like, we can knock things out of the park if we put our minds to it. We can land on the moon. We can do whatever we want to do, right? So once that ingenuity started pointing to food and drink, I think, that's why we have more microbreweries than I think anywhere else in the world, because everyone started nerding out on that, or we started nerding out on barbecue and like the best barbecue in the world, and like, even fine dining stuff. America's doing better than Europe, in my opinion. So like, I don't know. I think it's a very exciting time to be in America in terms of food and drink.
You mean you're telling me that Hamburger Helper and like a Coors Banquet beer isn't fine American dining?
Listen, hey, I'm not above that, bro. I'm telling you, it's all about balance. It's all about going to a NASCAR race and then a wine tasting afterwards,
Yeah, you got to balance that out. Yeah.
Did you see that guy? It was like this week where his like shed shop caught fire and the water on his property was turned off, and the only thing he had on hand was Bud Light, and he put the fire out with Bud Light. I'm just saying, people that drink Bud Light are drinking water, essentially. But legitimately, like, look it up. I think he was like in California, maybe.
That sounds like a Super Bowl ad for Coors or something.
I was like, what is that? And he said he had something funny too, where he's like, yeah, my friends used to make fun of me for the beer I drank because they said it was basically like drinking water. And the guy puts the fire out at his house with cans of Bud Light.
I like Bud Light. I think one of the problems that people get into is they become too precious with their food, and everything has to be, they have to have artisanal and local and this and that. It's like sometimes you just want to Bud Light and a hot dog is all you need. And I don't know. That's
you can you can have your cake and eat it too. You can eat the cheap shit, drink the cheap. Like, I love craft beer. I'm a huge craft beer fan, but at the same time, I will stock my fridge with Miller Lite and go to town on that any day of the week. Like, you can.
Yeah, I don't really like the craft beer train, man. There's only like a couple craft beers I can drink. I just don't really like them for some reason. I don't know why. But
you know what I'm picking up, Ryan. I think that you're a little anti. Or you're a little anti-aggressive flavors. So like spicy, you can't do. Artisanal beers usually are super hoppy. So you probably I can't do hops either, man. I can't like I'm actually I think I'm allergic to it. Like if I have like a double IPA, I start like breaking out in hives. So that's why like when it comes to beers, like I'm down with like a Bud Light or like I love the Japanese ones like Sapporo. They're like very watery, but like they're delicious.
Yeah. I had a Sapporo last night.
Yeah.
Well, I think it falls that like coffee and like scotch all kind of fall into that same thing. Like, do you drink coffee with sugar and cream, or do you drink it black? Like, I think if you drink black coffee, you're more likely to drink higher hoppy stuff when it comes to beer. Like,
that's not true. I don't like hops, and I only drink my coffee black.
Whoa! Shots fired.
How do you drink your whiskey, though? How do you drink your whiskey, Kim?
All different ways.
Go-to whiskey.
I'll drink it straight, but I'll drink it with like a little splash of ginger beer. I'll drink it. Just depends what mood I'm in.
Okay.
I like an old fashioned. That's usually a nice version of whiskey to me.
2 ice cubes. That's about it. That's all you need.
Like a splash of lemon.
I can't do. You know what? And I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this. I feel like the older I get, the less I can do like bourbon, like the stuff that like burns on the way down. I'm just like, I think I'm done with the burning, man. Like, give me gin, give me even whiskey, but the bourbon, man, it's punching me in the esophagus.
I can see that. I feel like gin does that to me. I can't drink gin.
I think it's the sugar a lot of times in the bourbon that can help with it. Hurts that a little. Like higher sugar drinks to me will do that same type of thing. But if I drink scotch straight up, like I'm fine.
Do you guys have a Kentucky race?
We do. Yeah, we already we don't have one anymore this year. We already did it a couple months back.
So are the concessions different at all? The are they kind of specific to the local place that you go to? Like, will there be more like bourbon served in the races in Kentucky and wine served in the ones in Sonoma?
I'm actually not 100% sure. I don't know if you guys would know that more than me. I'm not certain.
I don't think it's not like that everywhere, but there are places where it's like, so like if you go to Homestead Miami Speedway, like they have arepa stands like in the concession, where like if you're in Martinsville, Virginia, or like
they got hot dogs.
Sonoma, you're not gonna have an arepa stand. So it's just like it's not like completely like siloed, but there are like a couple of tracks where they have certain things they'll serve.
Texas does a lot of like they had the tacos, and in like a lot of the sweets, like I know Texas did like a burrito that was like a hog heaven burrito. Oh, cool. Talladega will do like a giant meatball for the big one. Like they do specific things to kind of tailor to the crowds there, but not on like a massive scale.
And I don't know if I was a fan at a race. I don't know if I want to be drinking, like sitting in the stands in the summer drinking like whiskey or like bourbon or like I drink a cold beer. Like I don't know. Like Kentucky offered, their finest Kentucky whiskey. I really wouldn't want to sit in the stands in 90-degree weather drinking whiskey.
You're not going to walk out of there.
Or like the only sport where you can BYOB.
The last race I went to as a fan, I drank 24 Miller High Lifes. Throughout the race, it was the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Goodness gracious!
It was a full day event, and like I walked out, and I remember walking away thinking, "Well, I can still walk," and I drank that much beer. But it's endurance drinking, like you're doing it over time. If you did that with liquor, I'm not walking out of there.
Ponies? Are you lying to us and you were drinking the ponies?
No, it was the full on. We were in the coming off of turn 2 in that old grandstand that was out there on the backstretch, and it was just a bunch of folks from the mountains of Western North Carolina getting shit-faced drunk, having a good time. I met people that like knew somebody that I went to school with. It was just this family atmosphere. It was amazing.
I seriously can't wait to come to a race. And Chuck, you and I will have 24 beers, even though you'll be working and I won't be. We'll that'll be our challenge.
Well, if we do like a video about it, then I can say that I'm working.
Oh yeah.
And as long as it's like the official beer sponsor of NASCAR, we could do a whole like thing where we're filming and it's drinking and showing off the product. Product.
Let me ask you this: does it? You were obviously a fan before you started working for NASCAR. Did you feel like once it became work? I guess this question's for all of you. Like once it became work, did it not become as fun? Like I'm a comedian. I always loved going to stand-up comedy clubs. Like I loved it more than anything. And then I became a comic, and it's like the last place I ever want to go is a comedy club because it's like I'm thinking about work I'm just not into it. Is it the same for you guys?
It's 50-50. Like
I don't know that I would choose to be at a racetrack during an off weekend as like the top place I want to be when I don't have to be there. But I still like want to know what's going on, so I'll still like tune into the race.
Right.
I haven't been to a race since Daytona. I was on the way to Atlanta when they shut everything down. And now I've watched more, like I've tuned into the Track Pass app on the NBC Track Pass app to watch like ARCA races because I haven't been to the track in that long. So I'm watching more racing. It's weird. Kim. I see you laughing. But like I'm watching more racing now because I can't get there.
You were watching the Arkans.
The Arkans?
The Arkans.
Arkans. But yeah, I'll go to like short tracks and stuff, and stuff that I grew up watching. I'll do that if I have time, in an off week or something. And there's a little tiny dirt track about 10 minutes where I live that races on Wednesdays, and I'll go watch that every now and then just because it's close. But yeah, it definitely changes. I grew up around it, so my dad drove NASCAR for a while, and his dad ran dirt tracks up in Ohio, Pennsylvania. So I just grew up around it. But yeah, once you kind of get in it, like honestly, like you don't want to talk about it as much, probably. You don't want to talk about your job just because it's your job now, but I still like going and watching local races, but not every single time I get a chance, but if it's convenient. Yeah.
For a comic, I feel like the worst question that we ever get is say something funny. Or like that's just, I hate it more than anything. What is the equivalent of that for a race car driver?
It's questions like there's like two main questions I get, and it's like, do you get dizzy going in circles all day? That's one.
Okay.
And then it's not like do something. It's like, what is this like? Or what do you have to do if you have to take a piss in the middle of the race?
Wow. That's actually, that sounds like a question like that I would totally ask.
I get it all the time. And really, honestly, if you got to go, you just go.
No way. Really? In the suit?
Yeah. Yeah, I personally have not done it because I don't want to be sitting in a pissy seat for hours on end. So I take care of that before. But there are times I've had to go, but I've just held it. But some guys I know, they'll just go. They'll just piss themselves.
Yeah.
Wait a second. That's just
part of it. If you're watching a post-race, the telltale sign is they'll get out of the car and they'll have like a bottle of water they're chugging, and you'll see them like
spray it on top of themselves.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Has anyone ever just like taken a dump while they're racing?
Tony Stewart.
Come on.
He had a stomach bug.
Yeah.
This guy was really sick and had a stomach bug, and I think they were racing in Watkins Glen or Sonoma.
I think it was a road course, yeah.
Yeah, he ended up winning the race. Won the race.
No way.
Yeah, and before he went to Victory Lane, he went to his trailer and got a new suit and came back and did Victory Lane.
Dude, he needs to get like a Pepto-Bismol sponsorship or something after that.
But yeah, that's the only time I've ever heard of someone doing that in their suit, but just because he was pretty sick.
I heard rumors that Jeff Gordon did it once, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, and I haven't heard that one.
I feel like not a lot of people are gonna like fully admit it. Tony was in a place where he couldn't really deny it because he won the race. But like if you don't win, I feel like you could. I'm just gonna go over here and.
Also, if you won the race, you're just kind of like whatever, do whatever the fuck you want to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I don't care about your judgment at this point.
It's like, I just won. I shit myself, and I won. That makes me the greatest.
Yeah.
I don't think I asked. I feel like I was asked because I nerded out on you. I like driving a lot, and I have a fast car, and I remember asking you, like, I'm like, when you're on the road, like, what do you drive? When you're not on the track, and you're like, I have like an F-150. I was like, oh, yeah. I thought I pictured you in like a Lamborghini, just like.
No, yeah, I get asked that too. It's like, do you go really fast on the roads just because you can't contain yourself? I'm like, it's actually the opposite. Like I have like a bunch of slow old cars just because I don't really have like a need for speed outside the racetrack. And I always say, like, I get paid to go real fast on the track, but I'll get a ticket or get in big trouble if I go fast in other places. So yeah, I get asked that all the time. And no, I really only had a couple speeding tickets in my life, and that was like when I was 18. So I just don't really have the need.
I feel like it would be fun to talk your way out of a speeding ticket now as Ryan Blaney.
Yeah. I have not had that opportunity, but I know a couple people who've gotten out of it. But
would you blame it on the wedge in the back end of the car, or like would you say that you had a right rear going down, you're just trying to make it to the to home?
I don't know. I feel like you just be truthful to the guy.
Yeah.
He'll be like, listen, I was late. And hopefully he, like, if it's around your home, he'll recognize you and be like, okay, just don't do it anymore. But I feel like if you hint too much at it, they're going to be like, oh, this guy's an asshole. And he's making up excuses.
Or you could use the excuse, I really had to go take a shit.
That's true. That's a good excuse.
That is true.
I have an interesting question, which I'm not sure if you get often or not, but I feel like the interesting thing about NASCAR to me is that in some places it is the most watched sport in town, and in some places no one knows about NASCAR. Is it weird when you travel the country and some places you'll be treated like a rock star, and other places like people don't really know who you are?
Yeah, it's definitely more popular in certain areas, right? I mean, more East Coast areas, just because that's where it was born and that's where it's grown. Right. It's nice. We go out to the West Coast of California a couple times. Las Vegas, places like that, Phoenix, Arizona. So, and it's growing a lot more there, which is really cool, but it is a little bit different. You definitely know kind of the crowd and the atmosphere. But I like the places. It's different in like, okay, we go to an East Coast race and it's like, all right, everyone's a NASCAR fan. They've been around it for a long time. They know everything about it. But I like going to the West Coast too, because it's a lot of people's maybe first time at a race and they want to learn about it, which is really neat. You can kind of teach them what it's about and stuff like that. So it is a different crowd, but I like both of them. I like teaching new people about the sport because there's a lot more that goes into it than people see. And so that's why I like going to the West Coast.
When you went out partying in New York City, did people recognize you, or what was it like in New York City?
Yeah, when we went out a couple of them nights, one or two people came up and recognized me, and I don't really, really care for. I'm just like, I always tell them, like, listen, I turned left. Like, it's not a big deal. It's like, I'm just a person.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it definitely varies. But like, if I go out in Charlotte, like, more people are going to know who you are,
right.
just because of the area. But yeah. So what about you? Like, if you go out in New York or Los Angeles, like, I'm sure it varies from place to place of just recognizability.
It's weird. I feel like I get noticed here and there for like acting or for comedy, but like I actually was on a Disney show for like 4 years, and it was this random role. It was such a racist role when you think back at it. I was on this show called Kickin' It, and I played this character named Falafel Phil.
Falafel's so delicious, though.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be like a 1-episode thing, and it ended up like I ended up being like the breakout star of this show was Falafel Phil, and suddenly like little like 12-year-old kids anywhere I went were like, holy shit, it's Falafel Phil, and their little heads would explode. So it was like a very, very weird type of celebrity. Like, adults didn't recognize me, but kids would fucking lose their shit if they saw me. And their parents wouldn't know who I was, and the kids would like run up to me, and the parents would be like, whoa, son, who is this man? How do you know this man?
Yeah. I feel like that's being an actor is interesting because a lot of people just know you for your roles, right? It's like for like what you put on TV, it's like maybe that's not your personality. And they assume you're like that. But I think 199% of the time that person's not like that.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's acting, man. Yeah. It's a weird fucking job. It's like we play make-believe.
Yeah.
You turn left, I play make-believe.
That's right. But I always liked it.
I think the cicadas are acting up out there, Ryan.
You hear them?
Yeah.
It's been
the fun thing each week is like we always get comments on like Twitter or Facebook like, do you guys purposefully insert like the bugs and the birds into the show? It's like, yeah, we do. We actually sent them up there. They're genetically altered cicadas that only chirp during the hours of 11 and 12 on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the technology that NASCAR has. We've got that.
Yeah. It's funny because I have my headphones and I can't really hear them, but they're loud today. Yeah.
God, they've been loud all season.
And are you wearing your are those in-ears like the racing in-ears?
Yeah, Racing Electronics made these for me, but they have like bigger speakers in them, so they're my everyday headphones.
Okay. So
they're awesome, but
they're not the ones you're wearing in the car.
No. These have like a lot longer cable.
Yeah.
And bigger speakers inside of them. So that part's not. I like these more than like I hate over-ear headphones.
Yeah.
Because they're just all clunky and stuff, and these fit into my ear great, and it's almost like noise canceling. Or it's pretty nice, but it's the same mold as my racing ear molds. But
Dan, one of the things that we do at the beginning of each show is we play because we're getting close to the end, so I'm going to play the music to wrap us up and all that. You won't hear the music, but the fans will hear the music. We always play like the best scanner audio from the race before, and like I'm going in the office later today to pick it out, but I have a feeling that it might be Chad Knaus and William Byron from Dover because they were yelling at each other pretty good.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that on Twitter the other day. They were going at it.
And then everybody was like, oh, it sounds like Chad and Jimmy.
And then what they do the next day, they put together a pretty solid run. So sometimes that yelling at each other works. The other thing that I wanted to ask you is Dale brought this up on I think it was on the race broadcast, that he used to yell at people during the races to see if they heard him, like under a red flag, or he said he yelled at Clint one time during a red flag at Martinsville, and Clint never turned. But have you ever yelled at anyone? I know you've done your like hand signals out the window, but have you ever yelled at anybody?
Like under red, or like anytime, like not
anytime,
the
just
mic?
to see, it's like, can I yell loud enough to get over the engine noise?
Yeah. Well, you're not going to go over the engine noise, but you're like, hey, you asshole or something. Like and you don't want to broadcast it.
When Kevin made the pass at Dover, like the in-car kind of showed a little bit of a head move from you. Like, is that just like a mother?
Oh, I was like, mother. Yeah. Because we missed it by a lap. Yeah, but I didn't say that on the radio. I just, to myself, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Son of a bitch. But yeah, that'll happen. It's a good thing there's not live mics always in the cars.
There are.
I think it's great.
There are. It's just when it's under power, it's the engine noise that it hears. Chad.
Well, yeah, when you have an in-car camera.
Yeah.
Well, Chad got in trouble. Chad Jimmy got in trouble that time.
Yeah.
Who can you communicate with when you're racing?
Yeah, so our helmets, they have microphones in them. And there's buttons on our steering wheels that we communicate to. There's only 3 people that will talk on it. It'll be the driver, the spotters, who are really high above the track and are kind of your eyes and ears.
Are you getting is that a fire alarm?
Yeah, it's a fire alarm.
Oh, no.
Wait, how do you deal with a fire alarm if you're quarantined? You can't leave?
I don't know. I'm not allowed to leave, man.
Oh, no.
What a great way to end this show.
This is how Dan died while doing a podcast.
Can't leave.
Burned the light.
Can't leave. But he's just got to stay in that burning building.
Do you have Bud Light to put the fire out? Is your question.
Oh my God! I'll put myself on mute while I slowly die of the fumes here.
No, it's a great way to end the show.
Yeah.
So that's like our cue.
I can hit the music. It's playing, and we can thank Dan for joining us. and wish him the best in the afterlife. After, whatever comes next, your next big project. As the smoke slowly overtakes him.
Send help!
Thanks for being on, man. Hopefully you get out of there safely, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
And
thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys. This has been a wonderful last hour of my life.
And
everyone check out Dan's cooking show, Green Eggs and Dan.
And The Crew when it comes out on Netflix. The 8 episodes that are already filmed. We don't know if we'll get the next 2 for the 10.
And please follow me. Follow me on Instagram at StandUpDan.
Yes.
At StandUpDan.
At StandUpDan.
I'm trying to do it in between the.
Perfect.
And rate and review on iTunes, like and subscribe on YouTube, and rate and review. Talk to us on Twitter. We'll listen, maybe, sometimes.
Maybe.